Hi, Manish, can you hear me?
So TNW is a platform for trainers and coaches who have registered themselves or listed their profiles on the platform for an added visibility in front of the prospective clients, the organizations. That's one side of the story. The other side of the story is that there are people from HR and L&D also who are a part of trainer network, who are accessing the trainer's profile as per their requirement. Hello, everyone. My name is Manish Bhatia, and I am the founder of the Trainer Network TNW. Why I asked you today to switch on the cameras because I would like to take 1 minute to take you back in time. I started working on TNW on this platform in September 2019. And by the end of September, that was exactly on 29th September 2019, I brought TNW to life as we went officially live on the internet. I was looking for trainers and coaches to connect with me so that they can list their profiles. And I made a Google form at that point in time, which I was circulating to people, whether I know them or don't know them. So, because I wanted people to join TNW. And I am very, very excited today to tell you that Asta is that person who was the first one to join TNW. Can we have a good big round of applause for her? Thank you so much, Asta. That was wonderful. That was special about today.
Thank you.
And today, Asta is there with us talking to TNW with an audience on changing beliefs, changing personality, and changing life in an organizational behavioral preview. Over to you, Asta. And I would appreciate if you please introduce yourself and then we go on with the conversation. Thank you so much, all.
Sure. Thank you so much, Manish. This was a surprise and I'm really, really honored to be part of this Yes, you told me this that I am the first one to registered, and I could guess that what is coming, but otherwise, till the quite a half of it, I didn't know that what is that is special today. So thank you so much. In fact, I it's a privilege and it's an honor for me as well to be talking about this. Discussion, this topic today, which is very close to my heart, and I can see that we have a lot of people who are from training fraternity. So I'm sure that they will benefit from it and will be able to add some value as well. So let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Astha Diwan, and I am very proud that I'm part of I've been very privileged to have worked with some very good organizations like Genpact, Tata AIG, and Max Life, which is the longest stint that I had was with Max Life, where I was a part of the learning and development team and have worked in the head office and the strategy team, and build strategy from there for the entire organization. So very proud of that. And then since 2013, I'm independently working with different organizations in this area of organizational development, working with their leadership teams, working with people to build their personality further and deliver productive results. So that's what I have been doing for this last 20 years. And on the way, there are education, certifications, and a lot of experience that comes with that, which I'll definitely talk about, and we will discuss about that for sure. So that's all from my side. Over to you, Manish.
Thank you so much, Asta. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. So I will straight away go on to my first question because when I was researching about this topic to talk about, I have so many questions for you, and you better be prepared. Okay. So, okay, first thing first, how would you define organizational behavior at workplace?
So, I would define it very simply.
Yeah.
So, the way people behave with each other in groups, in an organization,
Yeah.
is what is organizational behavior. Very simple. How they work with each other, what is their interpersonal relationship, How so I'll give you some facets of this as well, some
Sure,
elements of this.
sure.
So for example, what is the level of motivation and optimism of an individual when they're working in an organization? What is their motivation towards playing their current role, towards the current job that they have in hand? What is their motivation to perform that?
Hmm.
How motivated they are to take initiatives, yeah,
Right.
new initiatives, and and how open or how confident they are to express their viewpoints with others, and put across their thoughts. So all of this is a part of their behavior, and because we are talking about their behavior in an organization and in a group, that is why we call it organizational behavior.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So that brings me to my next question, which I will take a cue from your answer itself. But today we are talking about changing belief, change personality, change life. That is the essentially the topic of our discussion today. But how,
Absolutely.
in your opinion, it aligns with the organization behavior?
So to understand this relationship, and this is to all of us who are listening right now, is for that we need to understand a person's personality a little more. How is a personality formed? Because please understand, an organizational behavior is made by its people. Yeah, each individual has a role to play, in creating an organization's culture and behavior. So
Yeah.
let us focus on an individual. So when we focus on an individual, as per my research, and I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of experience in personality assessments, and you've assessed people through various personality and psychometric assessments. But still, I'll go again to basics. So I feel when a person's personality is formed, it is a combination of his or her belief systems.
Okay.
So our belief systems are make a unique personality for ourselves. So let me again give you an example. So belief systems are formed since our childhood, the way our environment was, our parents, our experiences, the kind of books we read, all of these things are creating our belief system. So this
Right.
combination makes a personality. So now if I have a personality, obviously I will behave as per my personality. Yeah. So if there is a belief system which is an empowering belief system, it will make me create a behavior which is a positive behavior. But if my belief systems are more disempowering and limiting, then obviously there will be hassles that I will have in my behavior. Yeah. So again, I'll give you a small example, because
Yep.
I think examples help us understand wonderfully.
Absolutely.
So one of the examples I see is that if, let's say, there is a person who's had difficult experiences in life, and because of that, the belief system is that it is difficult for him or her to trust somebody. Yeah, so that's the belief system, that don't trust on people, and take time, or people betray you, so be very cautious of sharing things with them. So imagine now how the behavior would be in the organization. So they would be not very open to sharing viewpoints. They would be not very welcoming to people. They would be, maybe they behave very warmly, but at the back of the mind, the trust is not getting built. And because of that, there would be interpersonal issues. So this is just an example that how, a belief system is connected to personality, and personality is connected to the person's organizational behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was very detailed. And most of the, do you think that, I mean, just from your answer only, do you think that HR or the admin management of the organization is able to figure this out very correctly or rightly so, or well in time? Do you think so?
So most of the times, yes, the fun. I'm sure that HR that we have today, yes, they definitely understand the importance of the right behavior. That is nowhere a question or a problem. But yes, somewhere I'm not sure how many of us are ready to do the deeper work. Yes, HR wants the change in behavior. They want to conduct programs. They want to do things to change behavior. But I think changing behavior needs much deeper work, much individualistic work. There are group workshops that help,
Right.
but to change a behavior, there is a deeper and individualistic work that is needed, and that is where I think coaching comes into the picture. But again, the lot of that work is happening with the top management, with the leadership teams, yeah, which is perfectly fine. Everything boils from top down, and people who are juniors, they learn a lot from leaders, right?
Leader.
So that's not a problem. But then the only thing that I like to say here is that they need to understand that changing behavior is not just a workshop work, or a quick fix, or a surface level work. It definitely requires time, patience, and deeper level of work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Asta, I was, as I said, that I was researching about the topic that we are discussing today, because that is definitely not my core strength. Okay, that's yours. So when I was researching about personality development as such, I found it very interesting to know where it says that, you surround yourself with positive people or who align with strong core objectives as
Yeah.
yours. Okay, but do you think that again, is it possible at a workplace? And if yes, I mean, how do you propose one should go about it?
So, so there are my question. My answer has two phases
Yeah,
to your question. So one is absolutely yes. If you have positive people around, if the culture and the environment is positive, it is definitely beneficial. So we are not saying anywhere and discounting that, because a person's behavior, again, definitely is more driven by his or her own personality and beliefs, but the environment also plays a very important role, right? So that is the first, that we should definitely have positive people around us and all of that. But then, to be able to keep the positivity levels high, each one of us have to feel positive. It's not
mm,
that it is something that can happen automatically. Yeah. So that is where the question mark comes, that how to keep that positivity up all the time, how to have a sustained positive environment in an organization. Yeah. So that is the work that we are talking about here.
right. And it is obviously, like communication, it has to be interactive. It is a two-way process, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
cannot be one way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. That's good. That's interesting. So, tell me, Asta, what exactly does it mean when people say that organizational behavior is the human side of business? What does that mean exactly?
It's a very good question, and I'm glad that you're asking that, because this is where we will really connect,
Yeah.
this to the productivity. So, see, each one of any organization today, even if you are running an organization or I am running an organization, we also want people to be productive. And they need to, whatever is their role or their task, we want them to do it in the best possible manner. Yeah. Now, productivity depends upon a lot of things, right? Productivity just does not depend upon what is the skill and knowledge of the person, but it depends upon his or her attitude, behavior, motivation as well. So again, I will go back to the things that I talked about. So let's say there is a great person we hire who has knowledge, who has the right experience, and everything is there. But in this current environment that he comes in my organization, in our organization,
Hmm.
he is not getting the right motivation and support from his leader. Yeah. He is not getting the right support from the peers. Okay. Because of that, the person is not motivated to work. Person is not feeling positive. Yeah.
Hmm.
Person is right now feeling that my opinion does not count. My skills are not good enough for this person. Yeah. Every day when he has to go to work, he's not feeling great about a particular job. So a very confident person also can feel demotivated and not very confident if the environment and the leadership is not right. And that is why we say that working on the leadership level is the most important first. And in fact, I would like to share with you, Manish, that my organizational behavior work, the work that I do with organizations is more centered around changing the leadership behavior.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
so imagine that if there is a leader who is supportive, who is encouraging, who adds value, then the person below him also automatically learns those kind of things as well, right? So even if they don't have that in their behavior, but because that behavior is being displayed by the leader,
Mm.
it encourages them also to display the similar behavior. Yeah, so that is where I feel that the core work has to be done by any organization. Yeah.
Right. No, I think as you rightly said, Asta, that it is a top-down approach. So it works really well that when you approach the senior management or the leadership team to go on for programs like this or for implementing organizational behavior or as a matter of fact any policy that you need to implement, I think it is a top-down approach is the right approach. And leadership, of course, it goes well. No, that reminds me of another quote that I read regularly on LinkedIn also.
Mhm.
Difference between a boss and a leader. Okay, you know, there are people. I mean, pro and against and pro also for both for the statement boss versus leader. Do you think it
Yeah.
is a part of our organizational behavior? I mean, does it connect somewhere?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Absolutely part of organizational behavior, because we are talking about how a leader behaves and how a boss behaves. By the way, I am a very, very strong believer of balance. Where whoever is a leader, if that person has a balance between the task and people, we cannot have a person, so sometimes we find a person who's very people friendly and people oriented and is very flexible
Hmm.
as a very easy person to work with, but we know that because of that, sometimes the projects suffer, the task suffers, and the orientation of goal orientation becomes lower, or achievement becomes delayed or lower. So that is where I feel that there is a very, very balance that I whenever I work with leaders, I actually work on creating the balance of behavior. So I feel that neither only the boss way of working works, no, nor a very softer way works, and that has to be balanced very well.
Balanced approach is required, of course. I guess that is very important. I will stop my conversation here, Asta, and I will let the audience do some talking today. Let us change something today. So I'm opening the audience. Please raise your hands if you have any question to Asta regarding what she has mentioned up till now. Your thoughts, not just a question, but your thoughts also, please do share with us. Anyone?
Hi, Hasta. This is Suresh here from Chennai.
Hi,
Yeah,
Suresh.
hi. Yeah. My query is how difficult it is to change belief system. We all been hearing this belief system has been a predominant influence across, right from the Western thinkers to the latest Indian, booksellers. So how difficult and challenging it is to change the mindset. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Asta, please.
So yeah, and I'm very glad that you're asking this question, because that is our core discussion. Change belief, change personality, and change life, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, till now we talked a lot about its connection with organizational behavior.
Yeah.
So yes, it is not easy to change beliefs, because our beliefs have been made during our childhood till the time we were 18. Most of our beliefs get made then, and they keep getting strengthened only, because we have a cycle which is called Bear cycle. So Bear cycle says that if you formed a belief, you also get evidences which are supporting, you attract the evidences that are supporting that belief, and then you take actions based on that, and that strengthens, you get the results. So R stands for results, so you start getting results accordingly, and that strengthens the belief further, right? So again, I will take an example here, that if let's say there is a person who has a belief that his people judge him, and he's not that great about the way he communicates, and people are biased towards him, then it is very difficult to change it. It will take a lot of work with that person to work on his self esteem, to give him different perspective of looking at things, right? Talk to him about the same situation, but looking at it in a different perspective. But let me tell you my mantra of what helps me changing belief. First of all, I do not say that everybody has the same pace of change belief, because again, some of us are strong left brain people and we have stronger mindset and it takes longer for us to change any belief. Some of us are more right brain and little flexible, so it is easier, I would say. But at the same time, one philosophy that works with changing belief is what I call as repetition.
Right.
So all of us have all these beliefs stored in our subconscious mind, and these beliefs have been made because of the repetition of experiences, right? So अगर कोई अगर आपके आपका limiting belief है which is not letting you trust people, तो वो भी तो बहुत सारी repetition से बना है. So that means to change belief also there is a lot of work and repetition that has to happen with you to be able to change that belief. But what happens is that we work on it, we start the work, maybe we read a book or something, or we work with a coach, and उसके बाद फिर वो long term work नहीं होता, and then we again get busy in whatever we're doing. So that is why whenever I suggest any program of mine to the corporate, I make sure that that program is long enough, or is not a very shortcut solution, because I know that what is expected from me as a coach is to change that person's personality.
Right.
But I need to work on the beliefs, only then a long term result would be visible. So that is the only challenge that I face, is that is that HR or is that person willing to spend that kind of time and has
Absolutely.
that patience. Yeah. So I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
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 And I'm sure all of us face, if whoever of us who is from the training fraternity here today, we face this same challenge, and we know that the time is needed for somebody to change. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Suresh, sorry. You're saying something.
No, no, I said, yeah, thanks. That, yeah, it's a very deeper question and cannot be answered in only one kind of
Absolutely.
sentence. And yeah, thankfully you are able to put it the best. Thank you.
But thank you so much. Thank you, Suresh. Asta, I will ask Shobha to ask a question. She has written it in the chat box. Okay, Shobha, why don't you come switch on your speaker, the mic, sorry. Shobha, are you there?
I will look at the chat.
I'll say the question.
Hi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, hi Asta and Manish sir. How are you?
I'm good, Usha. Thank you so much.
So I have a question for Asta. See, this comes in organization change management, right? And in under that, if you have to put these belief systems and personality, which are very hard topic to handle with, and as you said, it takes time. How do you put across all these things in a practical format in OD interventions?
Right. So I take so first of all, when I need to understand the person's belief system and his personality, so I do that with a lot of conversation, right? So I kind of, in my first session, I'm always trying to understand where were they born, what was their child, how were their parents, siblings. I go up to that detail, and then I'm able to understand the person's personality and the belief. So each personality, I have my own kind of, you can say, a template or format where I know that if this is the belief system, then this is the personality. So it's like one combination that is there. And then I start at, connecting that to the practical things which comes from the emotional intelligence. So if there is somebody who has this belief system and personality, then what is the person's emotional intelligence? For example, there is one personality style which will have a lower to medium self-esteem. Okay. They would have very high adaptability. Yeah. They would have lower emotional expression. Are you able to figure out the personality style? Yeah. So now they're able to get the practical things that we have to work on. So for this person, the person has to work on improving or lowering down the adaptability, because there's too much of adjustment, compromise, and adaptability that is coming in. there is lower self-esteem. So again, we go into discussion that why is this self-esteem low? Because by now I've understood that what is the background, what are the experiences in life. You know, a lot of times this lower self-esteem is not coming from something professional, but could be some coming from something personal. For example, if the person has had some failed relationships, so there is this feeling of rejection, and because of that, the self-esteem is lower. And then that same is coming in organizational behavior as well, because everywhere he feels that people would not accept me, people, my boss would have bias for me, and all of those things. So are you seeing the connect, Usha, that somewhere, there is
Yeah.
uh, a
I have
lot
a,
of, yeah. So I can tell you that I don't, this is not one day's work. There's a lot of work that has gone into creating this system that I have created, and I have a program around that as well. And it is not just because of one assessment. It is the understanding of DISC, understanding of emotional intelligence. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, by the way, so that has also helped me a lot in understanding subconscious mind, how the childhood experiences impact people's personality. Lot of detailed study happens in that, in understanding that how subconscious mind changes. What
okay.
are the
So
impressions
I would
we
like to connect as Manisha was connecting. So if you're talking about subconscious, do we believe in the concept of ego, superego?
Of course, that is as I'm talking about self-esteem, I don't generally use the
No,
word
it has been
ego.
proved wrong, right? It has been Freudian theory is trying to be proved wrong. So I'm just asking you whether you believe in that. Ego,
Uh,
superego does exist.
Again, say that which exact thing you're saying that I believe or not
The
in.
no, the ego, superego, does it really work?
Yes, it absolutely does, because in ego or self-esteem is where we operate a lot of times from, yeah. And different personality has a different level of ego, yeah. So for example, if there is a personality style which has they rate themselves as high as self-esteem, so all their decisions are happening from there only, yeah.
But
All
I
their
always have one thing, Asta, since you are connecting to all the topics which I worked on earlier.
yeah.
So always I feel personality. Another question is personality, does it static or does it change with time?
My dear, I feel that if it cannot
Because you
change.
said it is beliefs, I also truly understand that these are beliefs from our childhood and it gets attached. I always tell my students about a twin story wherein the twins were though identical, they are different. They are
Yes.
different, right? They are different. So this story, everybody would have crossed whomsoever would have studied OB. So with that, belief system, attitude, values, everything goes, and everything comes into play. Your lifestyle, everything comes into play. So does personality really? That's why one other person also quoted that as Manisha asked, the test whichever we take in personality assessments, that gives problems sometimes
Yes.
to the participant. They are
Mhm.
blocked saying that this person is narcissistic, or this person is good in leadership, or this person is bad in it, or this person is a mediocre level of a person. So what is your answer on that?
I would say that I only know that anybody who is who I work with a firm belief that they can change.
Yes.
If personalities cannot change, I'm not saying a 360-degree change. I work on bringing a balance. So I definitely know if there is somebody who is a high adaptability. So let's say I rate them on a medium. So I rate them on above average, average, or below average, right? So if let's say there is somebody who has a above average adaptability, I need to bring a balance of average. We cannot change it to a 360-degree level, but we can bring a balance so that the adaptability is on an average level and the person is able to take a more informed call and is not just agreeing to everything and just saying, is not able to say no to anything, yeah, or saying yes to everything. So that is where the balance is where I work on, Usha, and definitely we can talk in detail about how I work, because I'm sure there can be a mutual learning that we can have from each other as well. Yeah.
So we'll look forward.
Thank you, Asha and Usha. So, Asta and Usha, this was wonderful. But Asta, from your point, from your perspective, I want to understand this. You said that you talk to a person with about his birth, about his family, about his childhood, and you get into a detailed discussion with a person.
Yeah.
By doing this, because you are a coach and you're doing this one-on-one with someone, but do you think why? I mean, I think you are making the life of an HR guy very tough for this, because he has to screen through multiple resumes and he has to take a decision, a quick decision. He can't get into all these details. What do you have to say about that? Do you feel that the HR person should be trained and coached well in organizational behavior? Will that help?
So absolutely. So this all is being done from the change perspective. Okay.
Correct.
So HR's work is not to change a person. HR's work is to scan that what is the current state of the person. So
Right.
at the current time, is their knowledge and skill matching with the role that they have, and is their attitude looking to be positive, optimistic, enthusiastic, and open for for change or for adjusting in an environment, right? I
Right.
think that is the only thing that they can check. Obviously, if there is somebody who is coming across to be very sad at that point of time, the way they're answering questions is very is not very enthusiastically. So obviously those are the vibes that the HR would get in, which is, I'm sure, each and every HR person, if they're into recruitment, they're able to gauge these simple things. But yes, lots of HR people are today trained in personality assessment and understanding personalities. I have trained myself
Yeah.
a lot of HR people so that they are able to understand that if this is the role, then what is the best fit personality for this role, right? A lot of times, that we do psychometric assessments as part of recruitment as well, to be able to understand personalities.
Correct, correct. So, Asta, Shobha has a question. You were talking about the mind sometime back in one of your answers. Shobha has an audio issue also, but what she is asking is, I'll just read it. How do we change the beliefs between mindful and mindfulness? Okay, there is another question, but answer this one. Shobha, you can hear from Asta.
So I am sorry, but I'm not connecting right now this to mind and mindfulness. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I have answered already that how can the belief be changed, right? Because that is what somebody else also asked, that is it easy or difficult to change beliefs? So my answer is it's not easy. It requires a lot of work and hand holding from the coach as well, and the person as well. Of course, see, as we always say, that is the person willing to change or not, right?
Correct.
So if the person is not willing to change and he feels that he's perfect, and we have, by the way, there is a personality style that I deal with, and that personality style absolutely has this belief that there is nothing wrong with them. They're absolutely perfect and this thing. But then again, when we do the conversation and we try and open them up, because see, problem is that a person who feels that they're perfect and there's no problem in them, that's also their defense mechanism. That's also their survival mechanism, because that's how they've survived till now, by being very confident and by being just going on with what they're doing is right. That gives them the confidence, and they've achieved success with that as well. Yeah.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So what happens is that when you connect, so as I said, that knowing about their childhood, their parents, their life, that also helps you connect with that person on a deeper level, and then slowly the defense mechanism is becoming eased out. It's not so strong, so they're becoming easy, and they're becoming a little open in sharing. Okay, yes, yeah, I am actually very fine. There's no problem. But then, yes, this is one thing also which I like to explore. Still this don't say that I like to change. Yes,
Correct.
I can explore this
Explore.
side.
Yeah.
Oh, this will make me even better. I'm sure that this can also help me even. So it's about entering into their brain and their mind, and creating creating a space there of acceptance, you know, acceptance of the coach, acceptance to improving themselves. So even if so for those people, change might be a strong word.
Correct.
So instead of change, the word can be, how can you become even better? You know,
Better.
how can you, you know, move forward? And in fact, I use this terminology and I like to share it with each one of you. So one of the program that I have, I've named that program Change Your Life's Orbit. So when I say orbit, as you all know that we have in a cell, we have electrons which are rotating in a particular orbit. Yeah.
Right.
And to actually shift the orbit of an electron, an external energy or an external push is needed for the change of orbit. Yeah. All of us might have studied this in science in our schools, right? So here also we are talking about that only. We all are also revolving, our life, our professional, our personal lives are revolving in a certain orbit.
Right.
We are only talking about, we are not saying that you're not doing great, but would you
Asa,
like to change your orbit? Yeah.
so
Would
Asa,
you
would
like,
you say? Oh, just as I have to talk, my dog has to also. Sorry about that. So would you say that orbit, for example, would it be an example? Would it be the behavior of the person, or would it be the personality of the person that gets the push to change?
so Nawaz, what do you, I like to ask you this. So when we say a personality, what is personality really?
That's my question to you.
Yeah. So personality is is actually the way we behave, and the way we behave comes from. I wish I would have had my presentation. You know, there's a pyramid that I show to people when I'm making them understand this. That behavior is like the top of the pyramid. So personality is what we see, yeah. But underlying emotions, beliefs, fears, right? All of those are the ones which are impacting the behavior, right? Which is
Right.
what is making our personality. So today, if let's say I have a personality where I am, for example, very friendly to people, yeah? Very very energetic, and whenever I meet, I try to be very friendly and all that. So maybe underlying emotion there or belief there is that you need to be likable. You should be a person who you know people should accept. So there is a need
That's
for
the
acceptance
personality
in there.
driving it. So what you're
Sorry,
saying is
yeah. So
the
that is what is
personality is
driving.
driving the behavior.
Absolutely. So
Right?
personality is
But what
only
about,
one.
so let me give you an example. You have a person who is very quiet, doesn't like to
Yeah,
mix, doesn't like to party, you know, stays to themselves completely on the computer. Now, would you
right.
say that's a behavior or personality? What I've so far shared with you.
Right. So this is so the combination of the all this behavior creates a personality. Yeah. So as I take personality as the personality style, you know, really. So this is the personality style that is there because this is the combination of this behavior which create this
Now,
personality
now
style.
this person moves from country A of origin to country B, and
Yeah.
because of XYZ reasons, when you meet them again a few years later, they are no longer quiet, introverted,
Yeah.
they're outgoing, they're partying. It's like a complete flip, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think has been affected? His personality or his behavior?
So first, of course, what has got impacted is the underlying, there's some change that has first happened in the way they feel about themselves. They became comfortable towards others. There's some change in the belief that has happened.
Fair
Only
enough.
then
So
there would
then
be
there
a
would be
change.
the personality.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
lots of people say that you can't change a personality, you can only affect and impact behavior.
Yeah.
Um, I
So
think,
okay, now let's
right,
go a little deeper into this because you've asked this question. So let me share with you. So when I talk about changing personality, the first thing that is possible to change is the expression behavior, the behavior of how people talk to people, how people express themselves, which is the easier one to change, right? So
Right.
yeah,
obviously, the core personality is a combination of one primary personality, which is actually our perception and the way our mind works, and the secondary is our expression. So basically, we start with changing the expression behavior, and that's how it starts impacting the change or in personality as well. Yeah. So that is now, of course, personality is
Could
a
be the
very,
reverse as well.
sorry.
It could be the reverse as well, couldn't it? So,
Yeah.
in the sense of, if I'm looking at this individual I was talking about, who I first have hand experience of, because
Sure.
pressures of home and the very constricted Indian environment and the upbringing was
Absolutely.
removed, and when they went to the US, they had a complete change of personality. Their
Yeah.
friends and whoever they're mixing with, flipped
Right.
them, and thereby, so it wasn't that they went out and started partying immediately. It was they were drawn out. So I felt it was more of a personality change that then led to their behavior of being more extroverted, rather than the expression, their behavior expression changing to allow their personality to change. That's how
So,
I see it.
so Nawaz,
Sure.
let me, yeah, Asta, what I understood from Nawaz is that, what she's saying is that she's comparing between two cultures, I guess. One is the Indian culture, and the person moves from India to US. The culture is totally different. The environment is totally different. So I guess, yes, the behavior also gets changed there, and then the personality evolves within that culture itself. What do you say, Asta?
I think that's what she was
I
trying
think
to.
these are very interchangeable words,
Yeah.
as and I completely agree with Nawaz that yes, how I understand it is that a personality style that we have is a combination of different behaviors that we have. It's basically very impacted by the behavior. Obviously, if behavior changes, the personality style changes. What you are saying is that personality changes first, and then in turn changes the
So yeah,
behavior.
I
Yeah.
see it as two
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
One is what you've said. The other is that I can have a personality which is introverted, for example,
Yeah.
and I have learned through experience to change my behavior to manage that, because I know that in my job I'm in sales or I'm in customer service, and to survive, I can
Yeah.
no longer be introverted. But I'm most comfortable being introverted, so that doesn't change. Then my personality stays as what I want it to be, and I
Right.
change my behavior to adapt to the outside world. So that's
Right.
one way. But I do see that with a major life change, it can change your personality. While lots of people feel, I mean, it doesn't happen every day. Right? There has
Yeah.
to be a major change of some sort, emotional, physical, cultural. Something has to happen, which then can change your personality and put it somewhere else.
Right. Again, I would say that it is definitely difficult, but yes, if that change, if that event is so strong that it impacts us very strongly, like you're saying, even changing of country is a strong event because it just changes the entire culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes the entire this thing. Sometimes, there are some other events also that happen in people's life. Like,
But I'm just curious to find out if everyone else agrees with this, because a lot of books and whatever I've read, a lot of people think you cannot change personality. That is that is fixed and it will stay fixed
yeah, so
forever.
See, those are, I guess, there are different viewpoints. People.
I'd love to hear from someone who feels
Yeah, but
differently.
I think we will,
Understand.
Nawaz. I think we will run short of time because because it
I'm
will,
just plugging my computer and it's dying.
and that's okay. That's
I'll,
okay. Okay.
I'll just, sorry, Rohini this side.
Hi, Rohini.
I would like to,
Rohini, sorry. Can I hold you for a moment?
sure,
Regina is waiting with a question for a long time.
sure,
Can you
sure,
please ask? Yeah, I'll come to you after Ankita. I'll come to you for sure.
sure.
Regina, please.
Thanks, Manish. Sorry, Rohini. So my question is actually a bit zoomed out. It's in connection to what Nawaz mentioned and also what Usha had spoken about. So the first question is facilitators or even as leadership in an organization. Is it really our prerogative to change values and belief systems so that their personality or behavior gets, well, personality, since we're using that word, changes? So is that even right for us? Wouldn't we be getting into a place of judgment to say, okay, your value system, your belief system that you believed in all this while is doesn't work in this organization? I'm trying not to say the word wrong, because I think that's where the judgment happens.
Yeah.
And then I have a next practical follow-up question to that.
So what I feel is that if there is something that is a belief that is disempowering, that is limiting us, then it is worth discussing with the person, because obviously when you are talking about belief, changing belief, I am only talking about changing belief because if only the change will happen on the belief level, only then the person's way of dealing with a problem will change. Yeah, of course, if there is a belief that the person feels that I should not change, or that is what is working for me, yeah, then they would not like to change that. So it's only a belief that is disempowering in some manner or is limiting to them. Yeah. So for example, I'll again take an example. Let's say there is a person I was working with, and that person really wanted to come out of this shyness that that person had. He that yes, I want to say, I have the great viewpoint in my mind, but I have this belief that I should not create conflict. I should, if I will say something, then there will be a conflict that will get created. The person would not agree with me, or the team members have a different point of view altogether, and because of that the person would just keep the viewpoint to themselves. So now this is where I start having a discussion of that somewhere maybe you are feeling that it will create a conflict always. No, it's the way you will put across your viewpoint. It's the way you will talk about that. Yeah. So this fear that it will create conflict is what the person needs to get out of. So if the person feels that no, I'm fine with it, and that is what is the example that I gave as well, that some places people feel that there is nothing wrong with them. They're absolutely their belief and their personality and behavior is absolutely fine. So there's no change required. So that is what I feel, that it always works on if the person wants to change or not. Yeah.
Fair point. I think that's what we deal with as facilitators a lot of times. So my question is, what is the scalability of this if I'm looking at changing this or deploying this for a large organization? I can't possibly afford to have these kind of conversations with everyone.
I think
So
that's what
isn't
Manish
it?
said as well.
Yeah, I think it's so isn't it easier for me to focus on tangible, observable behavior and get them to look, just at making changes that will help them meet their current role? Of course, what you're talking about is absolutely right. But I'm just looking at it from a scalability model.
Yes, absolutely. You actually answered your question yourself, my dear, because yes, you're right that if there is a scalability thing that we are looking at, then we have to look at what is the best that we can do. So yes, then we, with the help of some tools and techniques which can be done in a group fashion. This is what I would do, right? So maybe I will if I cannot have a conversation one to one, then I'll have the exercises which will make them write about their belief system, which will make them write about what has been your difficult situation in life. So there will be different tools and techniques to be used. And again, a lot of storytelling tools, a lot of group exercises have to be created in such a manner that we can give the impact that we want to give, the realization that we want to give, which we can't do because we can't do a one-to-one conversation. Yeah. So
Right.
that's what I would like to do, and make it as experiential and also reflective as much as possible, because that is what are the two things that happen when it's a one-to-one conversation, that the person is able to have much more reflection, yeah, and individual work. So these two things, if we can replace with various techniques, I think we will be able to achieve a much better result.
I think that was wonderful. The conversation is getting engaging, too much of engaging,
Thanks,
Right. But yes, I have two people who wants to ask question. Ankita, please go ahead, and then I'll ask Rohini to ask the question. Ankita,
Yeah, hi Manish. Hi
hi.
Astha. Actually, it's not a question. I just wanted to share my point of view. I mean, I heard giving lots of examples and the analogies. Uh, I think that a belief makes your who, and it acts as a map between your source and destination. I mean, when I say map, it's like in while you're using a Google map, you might have different routes, and where you might come across lots of traffic jams,
Yeah.
and which is so your belief acts like all those things. So when you're mapping that, what kind of belief you're holding might take you longer to your destinations. And the way she told that she goes to ask she asked the persons about their childhood, the families and everything. I guess it's mainly focused on knowing the old stories about the beliefs. Like, if you're holding this, what's the underlying story behind that? And if that's the case, how can you make the new story on top of it? So my question here would be like, how do you break the old stories and create the new one? I mean, I heard you saying a repetition is one of the way method to do that, but like, how do you create new story on top of the old story? I mean, what kind of repetition a person should be looking for or aiming to?
Right. So, of course, there is a the new stories come from giving them new examples, a new perspective. Okay, making them look at the same situation in a different manner. Yeah. Also, a lot of probing questions, I would say, because when we have a certain story, our entire storyline is just going in one direction. So when you will ask questions that, okay, if this is what you would have done, or if this is how you think, if this is a new way of thinking, then what can be a different result that it can fetch you? Yeah. So this is a kind of conversation that definitely happens. And of course, it's a process. So repetition is when there are certain things that also I tell them to read certain books. That is what helps in repetition. I tell them to write some affirmations as well. So these are the ways that the person is able to create repetitions and create a different story. But yes, I would say that a lot of work goes in discussions and a person coming out with why this story, where is the bottleneck, right? So those bottlenecks have to be found, that why the story is not changing, why is it just that story that is playing in the mind of the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I also find that when a person doesn't have a destination, they don't find to change any of their beliefs, or what what is there to change? Why should I change?
Yeah,
Because when
exactly.
you talk about the
Yeah.
when you talk about asking them or making them see the new perspective of the same circumstances of the same events, you are actually leading them to a destination, like from the destination point of view. But if the
Right.
person doesn't have or visualize that destination, what would be the next step? Like, do you just leave the conversation there, or what do you do?
Ankita,
I
sorry, Asta, can I say something here?
Please.
Yeah, so I'm taking your job, Oxley. I'm putting myself in your shoes and I'm answering this. Maybe I may be wrong also, Ankita. But what we are talking here about is that personality changes and aligning your personality and behavior to align with your organizational goals. Now, when I say goals, if I am leading the organization and I want to put an organizational goal for someone, that is the destination that person should be working for. And that is where you need a person like probably Asta, who can actually find out what is the change in personality, whether it is a small change, a bigger change, or a mid-sized change that needs to that is required for that person to achieve or reach that destination, that the organizational goal. That is all I wanted to say from my side. Asta.
Yeah, thanks, Ankita. You've actually touched upon a great point. Yeah. So I feel that yes, you're right. Some people are not really very feeling so optimistic or so enthusiastic about a destination or a goal, or they feel that we've achieved it all, or there is nothing that is left. I completely agree. There are people like that. Yeah. And so again, this is where I say that our job, if we are a coach or a trainer or somebody who is a behavioral expert, comes in, that can we show them that optimism? Can we show them that okay, life has to move on? And how, see we take a lot of examples. We say that if anywhere, if the water is stagnated, it is going to smell, right? It cannot. So in life also, there can
Asta, you're
I mean, whether that improvement is professional, whether it is in personal life, whether it is improvement in health, so there has to be every day we need to keep moving forward, and that is what is called optimism. So there definitely coaches, trainers, behavioral experts have that higher level of optimism to be able to infuse that in people. Otherwise, you're right, they would not, if there is nothing that they're looking forward and there's no destination and they're not able to visualize it, then why would they change? Why would, if today that is the state that you and I are in, why would even we like to change and learn something new? Yeah. Today, all of you are, most of you are from training fraternity. You are expert in your field yourself, but you are still part of this session because you feel that maybe there is something new that we will learn, which can maybe trigger a new idea and then change our thought
absolutely,
process in some way or the other, right?
absolutely.
So that is why we are here. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Asta. I have Rohini also, and we'll ask a quick question from Rohini. Rohini.
Sure, sure.
Hi everyone. Hi Asta. So I just wanted to ask, like, when you, as a life coach, when you help organizations to coach the people, so what is the timeline that you look at? Where the turnaround where you expect the turnaround to happen. And second question would be, are the results tangible or intangible? Whatever results are there, how do you assess? How do you check the effectiveness of the coaching program? Whether how much has it been able to impart?
Sure. So I do my program in 2 stages. Okay. So the 2 stages is where I actually say that I would need 8 sessions. The first stage would be 5 sessions, and the second stage would be 3 more sessions. These are so I'm only for right now. I'm talking about the coaching program. I'm not talking about the workshop and the one-to-many model right now. So in that, of course, I know that in the first 5 sessions, what is that I'm going to be doing, and why I give the first 5 session approach is that maybe there are some people who change on a faster level, and we don't need the rest of the 3 sessions, right? But then 8 session is what I kind of make their mind conducive, that this, and I share with them what is going to be my approach in these sessions, yeah, so that they can see the journey. That is the answer of your first question. I think there was another question which I'm missing right now, Rohini.
Yeah, the results. I mean, because it would be
Absolutely.
intangible results, right?
Absolutely. So what happens is that after, so if there are, let's say, 10 people who are enrolled in the program, there are lesser number as well sometimes, or there are more number as well, but each one of them, so I create a kind of, after my first session, I create a kind of report where I tell them that these are the areas that I will be working with this person, which are the softer areas, the intangible areas, but then these are going to be the tangible results that it will fetch. So yes, of course, the HR shares with me some kind of strengths and areas of improvement which they think about the each leader as well, right? And then I kind of map that, okay, so these are the intangible things that I'll work on, which will fetch these tangible results. Now, the tangible results for me could be their, not just their their team's productivity, but the tangible results could be that if you will take a feedback of this leader's take feedback of two team members of this leader, and see 2 to 3 people, and see what is the feedback that you're getting. Yeah. So there are, so tangible is not only the productivity, but there are other tangibles that I create from the intangibles that we are working on, right? So if you want to have a conversation more about it, Rohini, I can share more that, what are those things. But because I completely agree that today, if you are also a coach or you are also a trainer, you are working on behavior, and that is intangible, that's not so tangible. So how do you actually show the change in behavior and productivity, and that's very important for each one of us. So I can share that with you.
Thank you.
Further.
Thank you. I'll
Thank you.
connect with you separately.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rohini, for asking that question and stealing my question as well. Okay. Yeah, because, okay, Asta, I have one final question, and if there is more to say, because I believe you have already answered my unasked question. Okay. So if there is something more to add, you can add, but otherwise we'll close this session. Do you think that organizations should be more proactive in implementing behavior check at workplace? Is there any special training they should undergo? That was my question.
Of course, the answer to this question cannot be no. I think one thing that I like to say, and each one of you would, I think, agree with me, that 2020 has made, organizations more open, and for understanding their people's behavior, understanding that people go through a lot of stress, mental health for that matter. Yeah. So I feel I'm getting that feeler from people, because earlier they were not talking about things like how can we increase resilience of people, how can we work on their stress. It was all talking about productivity. Yeah. So these are the things that are definitely helping, and organizations should be very listening, very wary of it, because if they can understand a small thing, that organizational productivity is directly proportional, not even indirectly, directly proportional to our people's motivation, behavior, their initiative levels, the facets that we talked about initially. So that means that if they want the organization to be successful, they have to have their people to be in the best of mental state, best of motivational state. Yeah. So that is besides skills and knowledge. Skills and knowledge is definitely important.
Right.
So yeah, so I think it is absolutely important, and of course we can do so. So there are various organizations, and in fact even I have created some very simple assessments which can assess the current stress levels, or the current mental state of employees. So there can be it can be done for employees as well. And if there is a separate leadership assessment, which is not a very complex, a simple leadership assessment, which is available for leadership team as well, that I do. And then I show them the result, that what is the current state, and why we should work on their behavior.
Perfect. Perfect. I think, I hope everyone liked this conversation today. It was wonderful to hear Asta talk about organizational behavior, and I have learned so much today in this 1 hour session, but I'm sure that 1 hour session is definitely not sufficient to talk about this vast and massive subject. I would say there are a lot of factors which are involved in this, but it was wonderful of you, Asta, to have discussed so much about this organizational behavior, changing beliefs, changing personality, and changing life. And thank you for answering all the questions that our participants asked you, and it was a very engaging conversation. So thank you so much once again for spending time with us. We are coming up with our another event on February 16th, same time, and you can go to our website and look for upcoming events page. where you can find out. This is the page where you can find out the details about the new events that are coming up. So as I said that February 16th is the next event. The registration for that will open tomorrow. And it is again a free conversation that we are going to do, but the registration is mandatory. So I'll see you all there once again.
All right. Thank you, Manish. And
Thank
thank you, each one of you, for being so participative. And I hope that I've been able to add some value to you today. I want to say that some of the questions that you asked has definitely triggered my mind,
Absolutely.
and it has helped me as well. Yeah. So thank
Right.
you so much for that. All the very
Thank you
best.
so much,
for your
Asta.
work.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
Asta.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Manish.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
See you around. Bye.